Pepper plants can actually be considered perennials. They can also be overwintered. So if you live in a colder climate, you can actually dig them up. You would prune them, then you dig them up and then bring them inside. And then when the temperatures are warmer, you can bring them back outside. However, I live in California and we never ended up really getting any frost this winter, and my last frost date is coming up. I meant to dig these out of my raised beds here, and I never got the chance to because it's just been too warm and it's going to continue to be warm. But what I am going to do is I am going to prune a bunch of these down just to kind of clean them up a bit and encourage some new growth. And then I'm also going to be removing some of the varieties of peppers that I didn't like. This is a Bikino. I just don't like them because they're so small, and the flavor was just okay to me. But for how small the peppers are, it's just not worth it for me to keep it in here. I also did plant a lot of my pepper seedlings last year a little bit too closely together, which is why I definitely want to do some pruning. I might pull some of these out and move them around the beds. Pepper plants do like to hold hands with their roots. That's what people call it. So they can be planted closely together, but I think I kind of planted them too closely together because this section right here is 3 plants, but you can't really tell because they are planted a little too closely together. These peppers did do really, really well last year though, but it's just kind of, you know, I just want to clean it up a little bit and just make sure that I have them set up for success for this current growing season that we're about to enter. But yeah, these pepper plants have been doing really, really well for me. But I really did want to overwinter them because the raised beds, they're great, right? But the soil sinks down so low. And so I definitely want to add some more soil, but I can probably still do that. You can see here on this pepper plant right here that the roots are starting to come up as the soil has been settling. So that's not really a huge issue. I can probably just fill the bed up with more soil even up to here and it'll be fine. I was anticipating taking these pepper plants out, overwintering them, but since I never got that far because our season has just been so warm, I did sprinkle in some cover crop seeds kind of in between the plants just so I could get the cover crops in, because I wasn't sure when I was going to be able to pull these pepper plants out to overwinter them, but that has not ended up happening. So I probably will still sow a little bit more of the cover crop seeds in my raised beds around the pepper plants just to kind of give back some nutrition to the soil. And then I will just do what's called chop and drop. I won't pull the roots out, I'll just chop it and then I'll just leave it in the ground. And in addition to removing the plant varieties or the pepper varieties like this one that I didn't care for, I'm going to be pruning all of these down pretty heavily because I just want them to develop new growth, just to encourage some stronger growth for this new year. But as you can see on this pepper plant in a container, there are already new leaves forming. There's some old dead peppers that I've left on here, but it's definitely just continuing to grow, which is really great. But like I said, I would just love to remove some of the old growth and encourage new growth. And if you are going to overwinter your pepper plants, you want to take everything off the plant, all of the leaves and branches, except for what would be like a Y shape. So you want to keep a Y shape of your plant. So I would keep this section right here. And here's an example of one that I have cut down into a Y shape. I probably could have and should have removed this top part right here, but for the most part, it's got that Y shape structure. So since my temperatures here in California are gonna stay pretty mild, I will probably just leave it in this bed here. But if you lived in a colder area, before it starts to get too cold, you can take them out and turn them into this Y shape and then put them in a smaller container in soil, bring it indoors, and then bring them back out when your temperatures are probably about at least 50 degrees overnight. And then they should start to put on new growth and come back up, and you will have a head start to your growing season.